wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Now, some quick sports. It was heavy boxing over the weekend. Now, Charlamagne, you went to the Serrano fight. How was that fight?
Yeah, the Serrano-Taylor fight. It was a good fight. I mean, it wasn't as, I wouldn't say it was one of their best. It was probably the third best fight of the three fights that they've had. But yeah, the energy in the garden was what I was tripping off. Like I said, them Puerto Ricans had it rocking. The Irish people had it rocking too, but them Puerto Ricans had the garden rocking on Friday night.
Yep, and then Saturday night, Shakur Stevenson, he won. And Edgar Berlanga, who was up here last week, he lost.
Dropping the clues bomb, Shakur Stevenson. Shakur looked fantastic.
He sure did.
Okay, you know, everybody that says Shakur likes to run, Shakur stood in that ring and, you know, stayed in the center of the ring and went and got busy. So salute to Shakur Stevenson.
And Edgar Berlanga, who was here last week. During the press conference, remember, he said he had a surprise for...
Yeah, what was it?
Yeah, he was throwing panties and singles at him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was throwing panties and singles at Oscar de la Hoya, but he did
all
lose.
Of that meant
That
nothing.
was the big surprise, and then you got beat up.
Yeah, he lost.
Yeah, homie from the UK had a surprise for him. Okay, and it was a 1-2 punch. All right.
Yeah, he
salute that
lost.
with Berlanga though. But
Yeah, for sure.
if you talk that crazy, you got to go in there and back it up.
Hell yeah.
He got his ass kicked.
Oh my God.
That was an ass kicking.
It was.
Yeah.
What's up, Morgan?
Hey, how we feeling on a Monday?
Okay, hold the top. What's up?
You know, you see it. Okay, let's get into it. So first on front page, let's pick up where we left off last week. President Trump traveled to Kerrville, Texas on Friday for a first-hand look at the flooding devastation. He and First Lady Melania Trump met with officials, local officials, first responders, and families of those impacted by the flooding. Now, the president spoke about the lives lost. Let's take a listen to his comments in Texas.
All the beautiful souls, and we're filled with grief and devastation. It's the loss of life. And unfortunately, they're still looking.
And meanwhile, crews in Central Texas have recently suspended the search for flood victims as heavy rain continues to slam the region, causing more flooding. The National Weather Service says heavy thunderstorms moved through the Hill Country region, devastated by the catastrophic flooding last week. City officials in Kerrville issued evacuation orders for some areas near the Guadalupe River, calling it a dangerous and life-threatening situation. Nearly 130 people are dead and over 160 still remain unaccounted for following that deadly July 4th flooding event. Now, this, of course, brings a lot of talk about the status of FEMA under this administration, especially following this event in Texas. Now, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says President Trump does not want to dismantle FEMA, but rather rework it. She made those comments in NBC's Meet the Press, or while speaking to NBC's Meet the Press, Noem says the president wants the agency to be better implemented. Let's take a listen to her comments in part from that interview.
I think he wants it to be remade so that it's an agency that is new in how it deploys and supports states. The president recognizes that FEMA should not exist the way that it always has been. It needs to be redeployed in a new way.
Of course, Trump has been critical of FEMA in the past, but has praised the agency's efforts amid the devastating floods in Central Texas. Noem also dismissed claims that a rule change delayed FEMA's response in Texas as absolutely false. Any thoughts on that, guys? No? And in case you missed it, just on other natural disasters over the weekend, the Grand Canyon was on fire. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs is calling for an investigation into a white sage wildfire at the north rim of the Grand Canyon. The Dragon Bravo fire has consumed 5,000 acres since lightning started the flames on Independence Day. It also burned dozens of structures, including a historic Grand Canyon Lodge that originally opened in 1937. The facility is the only lodging inside of the park at North Rim. Hobbs said what has happened demands intense oversight and scrutiny into federal government emergency response, which goes back to what Noem was saying about FEMA and all of, whether or not those resources are readily available just in case, something happens. And going back to the Grand Canyon, park officials noted that North Rim residents and staff were evacuated before the fire rapidly spread. So we're dealing with some natural disasters here. You guys want to keep your eyes on the swivel. Make sure you pay attention to your weather forecast and, what's going on around you. That's your front page news at 6 a.m. At 7 a.m. we'll talk about this assassination attempt into Donald Trump. It's been a year since Butler, Pennsylvania, so stick around.
All right. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Now, quick sports. Serrano. Charlamagne, you went to her fight over the weekend. How was her fight?
The Serrano-Taylor fight, I mean, it was good. It was probably the least exciting of all of the 3 times that they fought, but it was a good fight. You know, Serrano lost. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a good weekend for Puerto Ricans in boxing.
Yeah, Edgar Berlanga lost as well.
Absolutely.
But Shakur Stevenson did win.
Drop on the clues bomb, Shakur Stevenson. He looked great out there.
He sure did.
I was a little nervous for him, just a little bit, because I'm like, Shakur, you don't have to prove nothing to these people. Like, these people be saying that you like to run, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to prove anything to them. Like, we know you're a great defensive fighter, right? So go out there and showcase that. And he did, but he also went in there and mixed it up as well. So, you know, he looked great. Salute to Shakur Stevenson.
That's right. What's up, Morgan?
Hey, y'all. Hey, so it's been a year since the assassination attempt on then presidential candidate. He was a presidential candidate at the time, Donald Trump, in Butler, Pennsylvania. While speaking to over 15,000 rally goers at the Butler Farm Showground, shots rang out, fired by a would-be assassin on a nearby rooftop. Now, Trump had just happened to turn his head to reference a chart, and the bullet whizzed by his ear and grazed his ear. Now, let's take a listen to the audio from that attempt on President Trump's life. Just a disclaimer that this audio could be difficult for some to listen to.
If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Well, rest in peace to the guy that actually got killed.
Remember
the father who lost his life.
The volunteer firefighter, absolutely. So Trump was left with a bloody ear. Of course, there was that, as you mentioned, Jess, a volunteer firefighter who was killed in that incident, and 3 others were wounded. The gunman, Thomas Matthew Crooks, was killed by Secret Service agents during that as well. Now, here we are a year later, and President Trump says he is satisfied with the investigation that went into his attempted assassination at that rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Let's take a listen to the president's comments on Fox News.
They're very talented, very capable. They had a bad day, and I think they'll admit that, and had a rough day. But they briefed me, and I'm satisfied with it. So there were mistakes made, and that shouldn't have happened.
So Trump told Fox News he's been briefed by multiple agencies, and although he's acknowledged the Secret Service breakdowns, he still has the utmost respect for the agency and trust in his agents. Recently, 6 Secret Service agents on his detail were suspended for that incident, following that incident. Yeah. So meanwhile, on the topic of immigration and ICE, border czar Tom Homan is speaking out after a federal judge in LA halted immigration raids in the city of LA and Los Angeles. Now, appearing on CNN's State of the Union, Homan said the judge is overstepping their authority. Let's take a listen.
I don't think any federal judge can dictate immigration policy. That's a matter for Congress and for the president, and I know the Department of Justice is going to litigate it, so we want to take it to the appeals court.
Yeah, so the order bars agents from relying on race, language spoken, type of work, or location when detaining suspects, saying you need a little more than that. Attorneys with public counsel and the ACLU argued recent ICE operations in the Los Angeles area amounted to racial profiling. And speaking of immigration, Democratic lawmakers touring Florida's Alligator Alcatraz detention facility on Saturday say the conditions are inhumane. Now, this Alligator Alcatraz facility is located, what many say is kind of like in a swamp area, and it's just not the best place for any facility to be in. Representative Maxwell Frost said that had this to say afterward, and also fellow Florida Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz also noted how the detainees are packed into cages, often nearly 3 dozen at a time. Let's take a listen to Florida Representatives Maxwell Frost and Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
We saw people, of course, yelling for help. We even heard in the background someone yell, "I'm an American citizen." They started chanting "Libertad," freedom, liberty.
They are essentially packed into cages, wall-to-wall humans, 32 detainees per cage.
Yeah. So the lawmakers said they had intended to visit the site unannounced and believed a controlled 30-minute tour was arranged after the state became aware of their plans. Wasserman Schultz says Florida Governor Ron DeSantis could have picked anywhere in the state to build a detention center and had it built in one of the worst possible spots. So, it looks like we will continue to watch out and see what's going on with ICE and immigration events across the country, whether it be in Florida or whether it be in LA and California. So I'll keep you guys posted as to what's going on with that. But that's your front page news.
Oh, you know what, Morgan? I want to say, I think that liberal media should never stop asking questions about the Epstein list. Okay, liberal media should treat the Epstein list the way Republicans treated the transgender and sports issue. Like, they never let it go. Like, liberal media should never, ever stop talking about it, because it's the only thing that can build a bridge between them and the MAGA base that so many of them have been trying to get, all right? Forget them corny-ass podcasts Gavin Newsom was doing when you're trying to talk to both sides. Nothing brings people together like conspiracy theories. And it's one thing, or one conspiracy Republicans and Democrats can agree on. There is a cover-up happening with the Epstein list, and liberal media should never, ever stop talking about it. They should never stop asking questions about it. Don't let them flood the zone and make you forget about that issue. Because I heard you talk about a whole lot of Trump this morning, but I didn't hear you bring that up.
All right, well, let's get into it real quick. I will talk about Trump and the Epstein list. So President Trump claims that he is still confident in Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino, despite recent internal fighting over handling of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein. Trump was asked on Sunday if Bongino was still in his position and if the pair recently spoke, to which Trump said Bongino and him spoke on Sunday and that he was in good shape. On Friday, multiple news outlets reported that Bongino was debating whether to resign from his position. The DOJ and FBI issued a joint memo last week looking to counter claims about Epstein, long promoted by conservative media figures now, including Bongino and FBI Director Kash Patel. Now, the memo said Epstein did not have a client list, even though Attorney General Pam Bondi said earlier this year it was on her desk for review. So to your point, but I'm watching the situation. I try not to, give y'all too much without having everything or at least a lot of it. So to your point, you've got the conspiracy theories going, but you want to get all the facts together, all of them, right?
And Trump also defended Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi is the one that looks like she lied the most, because she said the Epstein list was on her desk. That Epstein list that y'all say don't exist now. Yep. And Trump posted this weekend that it's the Democrats' fault. The Democrats made up this lie in this room. No, they didn't. That's why I said liberal media should never stop asking questions about the Epstein list. Treat it the way MAGA treated the transgender and sports issue.
And I will say, Elon Musk had some interesting things to say as well about it on X. Basically, just kind of trolling the president, talking about he the main one, talking about how we shouldn't be talking about Epstein, but yet he mentions him the most. So yeah, but yeah, I'm watching. Trust and believe, I'm watching and paying attention.
Well,
but that's your front page. Say it again.
I said thank you, Morgan.
Oh, okay. You're welcome. Well, that's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. Follow me on socials at Morgan Media. And for more news coverage, follow at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit us at BINnews.com. Thank y'all. Have a great week. Make it a great Monday.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.